Welcome everyone to another episode of my Blessing in Disguise 2020, a series of conversations with amazing guests who are up to really awesome, inspiring things, creating new things in their businesses and life, despite everything that happened this year, despite any adversities and how their lives and businesses were affected by the global pandemic or anything that happened this year all over the world. I suppose it's safe to say that everyone was somehow affected. So today I have really awesome guests, Martta Sulkowska and Ben Wright, my very good friends. Martta is also a colleague of mine. She's a remedial and sports therapist and yoga teacher. And Ben is a wellness coach. And actually, guys, I will hand it over to you. I will let you introduce yourself because you're best at that. You know, tell us what would you like everyone to know about you.
Martta. You tell your part.
And then you elaborate on your part, Kim. I think you said, because obviously you know exactly what I do, so that was quite straightforward for you because we, on a certain level, do the same thing. So I'm a sports and remedial massage therapist and a yoga teacher. So this is what I do for a living. Ben.
Yeah, okay, so personal trainer, but I run an online business and I specifically coach in one-to-one coaching, Olympic lifting, powerlifting, bodybuilding, corrective exercise. I do a lot of assessment work and work with people's biomechanics and most things human movement. So that's where I take things from my part. The online stuff fits, the stuff does fit into that bracket, but the online stuff is a lot to do with mindset work, lifestyle coaching, and transformation stuff, taking to people through 90-day full 4-quadrant style transformations, which is great. So that's kind of my scope right now whilst working.
Cool. So I'm interested to know, to hear your reflections about this year. This is what this show is all about. So tell me, maybe briefly, what was life? What was life like at the beginning of this year, and then how it's changed this year?
Can we start?
Yes, you can start.
Honestly, like this year's been a whirlwind. Like I don't think either of us have had a chance to sit down right this now and actually decompartmentalize this whole year and be able to say this is where we started, this is where we're at. Because where we started at the beginning of the year feels like a drop of a coin. Like it's been so fast. But for me, essentially working at so I was working at another facility before we built this one. I was doing about 40 hours a week. And I was pretty burnt out from it all, to be honest. 40 hours one-to-one coaching, plus running the online business. I was probably touching on 60 to 70 hours a week work and not really getting paid enough for that, which was making me struggle in terms of my creative ability to express what I wanted to do for a career. So by the time COVID hit, it was a silver lining because it was the kick in the ass that I needed to quit that job and then to completely restructure the business I've got now that I'm running from the ground up again. I took on a business coach, Joe Parrish. We completely flattened everything out, restructured everything, and allowed the growth to just happen quite organically by basically allowing me to put all of the skills I've accumulated over the last 4 or 5 years into a new, fresh business. So like the COVID and the whole thing that happened was a kick in the ass that I needed to just let go of the old and bring in the new, essentially, and just allow myself to adapt with that, But you? What do you think?
I didn't think that. At the start of this year, I set a goal. I would say it was more like a 5-year goal. And right now we are sitting in that 5-year goal. Like that's what.
Tell us more. Oh my goodness, don't hold back so much.
In January, I attended an event organized by Lululemon, and it was called Goals Get You There, I think. So it was like a 2-3 hours on a Sunday, one of the like standard like Sunday sessions with Lululemon. and part of it was like a goal setting kind of workshop. And it was a kind of like a lovely booklet that we had with like rare things that you would just set up, like, just imagine your perfect day, blah, blah, where do you see yourself, like, very, very short version of that, what it was. And I just started like picturing certain things. I'm like, that's where I see myself in a year, which I can't remember what it was, but which is definitely not what happened. But then my 5-year goal, we were to go, I think, on a stage, or some of us, and I was one of the people that went on the stage. And in front of all the people that were there, it was quite a big crowd. And I was like, my vision, my goal for 5 years would be to own a studio/clinic when Ben and I will work together, and where I will be able to work with people as a therapist and I can teach yoga. And we are in December 2020 and we are sitting inside of that goal. So that was a very fast goal setting time. Like it just happened. So yeah, I think I planted that seed somewhere in my head and subconsciously both of us started, because we were talking about that for quite a while, and we just started working, I think, towards that. And it's not that we created all that by like, oh yeah, we just started work towards it. Like things started to unfold, things started to happen. But because I think we planted that seed, we were noticing certain things, and we're like, shit.
I think like
it was just time.
Everything was funneled. Like I built this brand new online business, right? So like I had an online business, but I just went all in on that because it's the only thing that we could facilitate at the time, given the current circumstance with lockdown, as you know. So like I took my client base from something like, I think it was 4 clients up to like 30 clients within 2 months, right? And then it was a case of, right, gyms are now open. So then I've obviously got all these clients that are like, right, now I want one-on-one coaching. So it's like, where will I find a facility that I can do that from? So I was like going to these really cool gyms in Glasgow, having little interviews, and nothing was really coming through from it. And then we went to Poland, and I just woke up and was like, you know what, fuck it. We're just like, oh, well, let's swear, right? Whatever, like,
Totally fine.
We're just going to get our own gym. That's it, done. Because in the back of my mind, that's where I was at all the time anyway. And I think for me, like that last year was like an elastic band. I was just getting pulled. And as soon as COVID hit, that just went bang. And then all of that stuff that I had built up in my head, the vision that I had, was then just getting executed perfectly, because I'd been thinking about that visualization for so long, probably without even thinking about it like consciously for so long, that it just started to unfold quite organically for me. Like it wasn't like a stressful system. I just went all in and went bum, 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 bum. There's the systems in place. There's all the new clients. There's the finance. There's this. Right now, this is what we need. And I just called up Morris Park because I seen someone else run a gym here. And again, it was just a good calling because it's perfect. And then, yeah, 2 months later, 2 months later, I think it was like a 12-week wait. And now we've got this place. Yeah. So 5 years compressed into 6 months.
That's so amazing. It's so interesting, because you would think that when the world stops, everyone and everything would slow down. And actually, you are not the first people who share with me that everything that they were creating before, that they were maybe like procrastinating on or taking time making decisions about timing and stuff, everything's accelerated for people who already had some kind of ideas brewing in their minds. So like that's exactly what happened to you, right?
Do you know what? Because I think like it's funny because like the world, I get it, like some people, oh, the world stopped, but you were just like, like everything slowed down, but you just like almost like kept the same pace, or just like actually speed up. And I was like, I feel like I don't know for you, but like for me, definitely things slow down in a way that the noise slowed down, all the distractions slowed down, all the excuses like stopped. So that happened, and that was like, I have literally nothing to blame it on anymore. Like, we need to do
this
stuff.
Is like the analogy of when you go swimming, like who got caught out naked in the sea when the tide goes out. So when COVID struck, the tide went out. Who stood naked in the sea? Who had their bathers on? Who had been sitting back for so long, complacently running business and just doing what they needed to do because the static was there, and they were just allowed to just do that stuff because it was easy. But then who took the chance and says, well, the tide's gone out. Here's me. I'm in my swimsuit. I'm not caught out naked, and I'm going to keep attacking, right? And I think too many people got caught out when that tide went out, and a lot of people were in fear. And then this whole idea of fear state it just allowed people to live in turmoil, essentially. And you look at your environment, and one of the first things, to put this into perspective, one of the first things I did when COVID was a thing, we were all shutting down, was like, I've never watched the news. I don't buy newspapers. I never go on social media to find out what's happening anywhere in the world, because some people have called me complacent for that. And they've called me a bit kind of, I should be doing more of that to give back more. But what that does is it creates fear, it creates insecurity, it creates all these other kind of things. Now, when we were in lockdown, it was just me and Marta in our big flat. And we were just like compounding ideas day to day, and just living the life of this bubble in the West End, and just allowing that to be. And it wasn't that we weren't taking notice of COVID, we just weren't getting caught up in that static. And while people were, and you've seen that kind of negative mindset coming into society where people were coming down the way, we just continued to push forward because we had each other for positive feedback. We got rid of the people we didn't need in our lives. We got rid of the environment that probably wasn't serving us, and we improved on the environment that we needed. And because of that, this is why we're here so fast. And this is why when you even opened the doors, it wasn't like we opened the doors here, now we need to build a business. We opened the doors because the business needed to have somewhere to be,
Yeah.
And that's my way of seeing it,
Yeah, that's such a great point about the news. And that I think that, like, yeah, as you said, lots of people were finding it too difficult to find balance between actually staying informed and actually not going too far into like really finding out about the stats and numbers. And it's very compelling if people are in this kind of, I don't know, like it's very uncertain, and it is scary. It can be scary, but I totally understand you. I'm exactly the same. I don't watch news. I don't read papers. I'm not ignorant. I will find out about like what I need to know, but just to stay informed. But I never go deep into it, and it doesn't freak me out. So I think. And I know many people who are exactly like you mentioned, and they actually manage to stay not only positive, but actually just keep creating, keep pushing forward, keep coming up with new ideas, and not being held back by fear, and by pandemic, and by threat of global recession. So that's really, really awesome.
My point is like always, I'm not gonna make a difference in the world and by help positively impacting people when I feel shit. It brings no good to anyone. If I'm in a state of fear, if I'm constantly worried, if I'm just like panicking, and it like all the good that I bring out just from like me feeling and just being my best. So I just always try to take care of that, because if I don't have myself sorted, then like my work is just completely, it's like they're pointless, because like people feed off my energy here, same as Ben. Like if we just have crappy energy and all this stress to hand out,
it's why we call ourselves 4 pillars, because it's all about what we do, like exercise, nutrition, mindfulness, and happiness. And your business is only as good as the balance that you have in your life. How many businessmen do I train now that have £1 million operations going on, but they're dying? Literally, it doesn't matter how much money they've got, how well they've done in life. They're coming to me because they're not healthy and they're suffering, and I think for us to have this business, it's all about showing people that balance. Less is more, less is more in all cases. And, if you can't keep your 4 pillars and quadrants in check, then, this is why we're here, to help you like analyze that, look at it, and see what we need to do to help sort of fill that gap a bit more. And we're seeing it work day to day, week to week. And, because of that, we have more balance. And like she's saying, like if we lead from the forefront with our business, we have to have that balance as well, which means we're constantly being self-critical, self-aware.
Probably more critical.
Probably more critical. But, like to be able to do that, you need to take yourself away from a lot of things. And that ties again back into your environment.
Yeah.
What you need to change.
Yeah. And I love what Marta actually said, that, when you really slow down inside, like when you shut off all the noise, this is where things start to get clear, and you can then accelerate. And that's one of the things that, when I work with people who are really busy, in their businesses, like I often work with in my as a coach, I work with high performers, and these people perform so well in their, in their businesses or in work. I work with leaders as well, and these people are doing amazing things, um, but somehow they there is this limit to how far they can go, and they feel like something is holding them back, and they do so many things, and they're like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, why I can't, do more or better. And I always say, the first thing I say, you need to slow down. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, I have so much to do, how can I slow down if I want to, be more successful, and do more things, with all these things that are going on, how can I slow down? Like, everything is just going to pile up on top of me, and then when they actually slow down, when they see how it works, when they slow down, they start to be much more creative. And then as a result of this creativity, there's more productivity, because productivity is not doing more, it's actually doing, like, working smarter and being more creative about it. And this always comes from slowing down, and this balance, as you said.
That's like really so.
Yeah, it's all about, like, it should be about energy balance, not time management. Energy management, not time management. Time management's a fallacy. It's completely pointless. Like, what you try to do, like, pigeonhole every single hour of the week to make sure you're doing something. When you talk about slowing down, doesn't, like, a lot of these people think, right, you need to slow down, it's for a full day or a week or 2 weeks. No, just 10, 15 minutes a day is enough time to slow down if you do it right. And sometimes when you slow down, it's when things start to become more in the brain, because there's just actually more stuff to think about. But that's the point, because you need to think about them, because actually you're going so fast, you're no longer thinking about them. The momentum's taken over. So slow down, think about what you're doing, just decompartmentalize all that stuff in your brain for 10 minutes, take a deep breath and go back in again. And that really is the blast and cruise mentality, right? Blast a bit, cruise for a while, blast a bit, cruise for a while, and make sure that you're working on yourself as opposed to just constantly working in your business. And you, like us, probably work with a lot of people that have skills that are very finite. They're very specific to one area, and all of their energy goes into that one area. We try to teach people to look at different areas of their life. Otherwise, what's the point of living? What is it? You're not living, you're just surviving, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, what I really see often is, yes, as you said, it's not about slowing down and just like stopping to do everything for a long time to, then start performing better. It's about actually really finding slots of time just for yourself, where it's like work and play. It's like when you play, you're just like, and I don't mean always play, but just take time for yourself, and like completely not think about work, and be present with people or with whatever you're doing, or just with yourself. So like that's such a great point that you clarified that.
Yeah, and it's like kind of seeing through the eyes of them. It's very easy for us to say, go and do this and go and do that, but we don't run multi-million-pound operations with, hundreds of staff under us and all this other kind of stuff. You just imagine being in that situation. So looking for these people just to try and find 5-10 minutes a day where they could maybe step into a cold shower, or they can sit down and do some breath work, or they could do some journaling at the end of the night, just something to help them, and just that small seed can help with like an accumulating factor to help further down the line. You know what I'm saying? Because we need to see it through their eyes as well. It must be very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a great point. Right. I want to kind of go back a little bit. So like, I want to hear more about your studio and like your business and what you're doing now. But actually, before that, I would love to ask you how did things look in like at the beginning of COVID? Because, well, I know, but I want you to kind of share with people, because your apartment transformed into your workplace. What did it look like?
Well, I worked from the flat for the last like 3 years because basically this is how I started. I had a dedicated room in the flat that we just turned into like a lovely treatment room, which I really liked. It was more of it was a choice, not that it just like, I didn't have it, that I chose to work from home because I wanted to create a very safe environment for a lot of people. They would just feel nice and comfortable, and this was their little space that they can just go switch off, open up if they needed to, have a cry if they needed to, and that happens more often than you would think. So I worked from home before that. Obviously, I couldn't work from home over pandemic because obviously there was no over lockdown, because that was like, massive. It was like completely off the table. However, I was like, I can't sit for 4 months or for however that's gonna last. I need to do something, like, because if you with all the clients that I have, all these people, all that community, I was like, if I switch off for 5 months and just tell them like, bye, see you the next time I need to see money, because a lot of people did that, they would be like, piss off, like, they weren't there for us. So I just tried to show up for them as much as I could over that time to create that support that I'm still there. So I decided to do live Instagram, like yoga classes that at start were just completely like, just whoever wanted to, you could just drop in. It then turned into like, people could just drop in, pay like, just on money in PayPal if they felt like it was going to donation based, if anyone, because there's plenty of people still working that wanted to pay for that class. So I was teaching in the lounge in the morning. I was teaching yoga. Ben was still working for the facility at that point, so he was teaching on coaching online. But however, after we left lockdown, we turned, well, it was during lockdown anyway, but one of our rooms got transformed into a mini gym. So after Ben left his facility, he started coaching one-to-one from the room. So we had like a proper clinic in our flat.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Spent a lot of money, basically it was like 2 weeks in a lockdown, threw the old bed out, stripped it down, went online, bought a load of kit, invested a good bit of money, and set that bedroom up as a gym. And it's been awesome. Considering I've worked in massive facilities, I've run my own business before, which was about 300-400 square feet, little studio that I built into a bedroom for like the last few months, and then into this. Just goes to show, like, people are investing in you. They're not investing in what you have.
That's really amazing. Yeah.
And what we have now is just like that icing on the cake for people that supported us because we supported them so much. It was pretty difficult at times though, like having your house as a freaking gym and a massage therapy room and your bedroom and like other stuff, like,
and yoga studio.
Crazy. Like, and I was running Zoom classes from the lounge as well, like twice a week doing boot camps. It was fucking mental, but you know what? It was so fun. It was so much fun. And like, it was such a good community vibe. It's just what people needed. I was training weights 5 days a week and doing these 2-3 boot camps. I've never been fitter. And but to get this place now and to get our home back is awesome, because the amount of people coming in, the amount of people going out, that's energy coming in every day, energy going out every day, people's problems every day, all these kind of things, man. It does start to compound, and you get this disassociation between where you're working and where you're living. And actually leaving here now at 8 o'clock at night to come home, it feels awesome. It's just like, it's just going back home again. So yeah, that was pretty difficult for us, wasn't it, at times? Just feeling like a little bit closed in. And we're lucky, we're really grateful, because you've seen our flat, it's massive. We've got a great big lounge, loads of plants, loads of room, 3 double bedrooms. But even then it was like, so we've got a lot of sympathy for people who must have been struggling, you know what I mean, with smaller places and not such a nice area, and that must have been difficult, you know.
Yeah. Wow, that's really awesome. Honestly, like, it's just like, from what you say, there's nothing impossible for you, because I can't even imagine, how do you run a boot camp from from a lounge? Like,
yeah, because obviously it was on Zoom, so like, but it was just great over those 4 months, because it was like, it started off, I don't even know, maybe like 5-6 cameras. turned into like 12, 15,
30 cameras one time.
Just like, it was crazy, like so many people joining, but like people like inviting their, families and friends and coming over. But it was so, for us, it was like that boot camp was like those 2 times a week when we had a great connection with the community and a good laugh. And it was a bit different than my classes, because at the start, because obviously it was like Instagram live, it was great because I could see the people being there, but I couldn't see them, so there wasn't really much interaction. But with those boot camps, we just had there was a chat, there was a bit of a laugh, and we just like, we just went through all that kind of together, which was great, because it was good after, because they all kind of in certain ways stayed with us, because we were there for like all of us, like for each other, and I think that was important.
Yeah, I think that's something really beautiful you touched on, the community. I think like this year, community is something that everyone needed, and everyone was looking for that community, especially people who are quite extroverted and maybe always, spending loads of time with others out there, going out or exercising in group settings. I think that was just all kind of, that just disappeared. That was like taken away from people in a way. For some people it was totally fine. I'm an introvert and I actually love to spend a lot of time alone, so it was fine for me. But I also spoke with many people who are going out of their minds because they couldn't see people and they couldn't get that energy from others. So I think that sense of community that you created was what really is making your business so successful right now, right? And it allowed you to open a studio. Like, I mean, if someone was to ask me for advice, okay, should I rent a space and open a studio in the middle of global pandemic, I would say you're out of your mind. Okay, but there's nothing impossible for you guys, like, and I just love what you created, and you just got this community. And also what Ben mentioned, that you hired a coach. Did you hire a coach at the beginning of pandemic, before or after? During the pandemic?
Joe Parrish was my coach. He does he coaches essentially to balance their business, their body, their mind, all that kind of stuff. And he's one of the best in Britain. He was coached by Phil Graham. He probably is the best in Britain for that. And he coached me before when it came to body comp stuff, human movement stuff. But I just took him back on board. I knew I needed someone in my corner, and I'm a big advocate for, you become 1/5 of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I knew I needed to start spending time with other people other than just Martta, because I didn't want to become a yoga teacher. So I'm joking. But I took him on about probably like 2 months, maybe not even 2 months, about a month into lockdown. And he's been with me since. And we just, more for me, it's never been the inability to be able to do something myself. Joe just needed to, as he likes to put it, keep this dog on a leash. Yeah, that's what he says. Because I like challenge, and I like adversity, and I like to do things against the grain, and I like to think 10 steps ahead all the time. And I think that, I'm going to go pull a check in a minute. You know what I'm going to say? And I think this stems from when I worked offshore. I always talk about how I used to work on a rig, right? Anyway, but when you work out there, I was working for multi-billion-pound operations, right? And you had to change at the drop of a hat. And the decision that you made could cost them millions and your job. So I became very good over like 10 years at being able to adjust very quickly, and not just to people's human nature, but also to environment, like your weather, your wind, your stress, like doing 10 weeks on night shift and being completely derailed from sleep and having to make big decisions. So, COVID this year hasn't been a challenge at all. And to be fair, what was a challenge this year was my limiting beliefs within myself. And when we have limiting beliefs in ourselves, it's the only thing that holds us back. It's not that we don't know enough. It's not that we don't have enough education we can't help. It's we have these limiting beliefs in ourselves. So to have Joe on board was literally just for me to have someone to say, make that decision. You're okay. Yes, do that. Don't do that. Do that. Don't do that. Make that decision, because I know what to do. But if you leave me to my own devices, I'll just do everything at once. So he needed me to slow down. Like we've opened this place and I'm already talking about what we're going to be doing in 5 years. Like I've forgotten this is even open, you know, and that's not a bad thing. I should be more present, I suppose. Yes. But at the same time, it's good to have a vision, you know, and, you know,
plant another seed.
Yeah, plant another seed. And I'm not a big believer in goals. I think goals are flimsy and I think they're pretty pointless. Like, what's a goal? Okay, track your food for the week. What's a goal? Get 10,000 steps and good. These are the ways of life. Just do some stuff. You know, like visions are more important. What's your vision? And what your vision is going to be completely parallel to what a goal is, because a goal is very finite, it's very specific. But a vision is, this is what we want to do. We knew that we wanted to be a yoga teacher. I've always known for a long time I wanted to be working in this division of expertise that I have. And we always knew we wanted our own business. Where was it going to be? What was it going to be called? It didn't really fucking matter. It just mattered that that's what we wanted to do as a vision together as a unit. And whether that happened next year, the year after, and now, was completely doesn't matter either. It was going to happen when it was going to happen. And it's not because of COVID. You know, COVID was just a thing that happened that we adjusted to, just like we'll probably need to adjust to something else, and again, and we'll just deal with that kind of adversity when it comes along. But you know, that's what it's all about. It's just
just some people have like the kind of catastrophes of global pandemic, like every single day of their lives. Like, you know, it's not like, you know, like now it just hit like, you know, more people, but for some people, like, you know, just shit happens like every single day, or like, you know, they have shit like worse things than that, like, you know, throughout their lives.
And we're not saying like we're anti-COVID. We're not. Like, I have clients whose people are dying, like, you know, and I see this firsthand, and we have empathy for that, but we're just not allowing it to be a thing that's going to control how we need to function. You know, that's it. But we have empathy for it and we have respect for it. But, you know, that's a two-way street. So that's just how it goes, you know. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love what you said about goals. I have similar kind of approach toward goals. I prefer more like direction to go into, because if you have very specific goals, then you get really stuck on something and you might be missing something on the way, right? Like on the way, you might see some other opportunities and you might miss them because you're so focused on that one specific goal. So yeah, I'm totally with you and I love it. And yeah, guys, I have a question. What were your lessons this year? Like, what lessons have you learned? What were your insights and kind of biggest takeaways from the situation that you wouldn't have learned if not this year, if this year hasn't happened?
That I will never get bored of spending this much time with Martta. That if we're on a fucking island and there was no one else alive and it was just Martta, it'd be fine.
Oh, you're so sweet, guys.
That's actually a compliment in a way. But yeah, just knowing that your human environment is in the right place. That's what I've learned. I've actually managed to balance more than anything the people that I'm around. And that's perfect. Yeah, that's it. It's probably more lessons, but that's a good one. What about you?
I'm not romantic.
That's not being romantic. Don't even say it. I'm not romantic.
With less people around, I've learned that I don't need people's approval for things.
Yeah,
I realized,
that's huge.
That I noticed that now I seek less and less of others' approval of what I do, and ask and search for kind of
self-gratification through other people.
I
guess that just ties into limiting beliefs again, right? Like, you don't believe in yourself enough, so you look for other people's approval, which was probably what you did. Not too much of, but you don't need it. You're fine without that approval.
So I noted you approved that.
I approve of that.
Who cares, Ben? She doesn't care anymore.
That was a big, and also that I can do it. It doesn't matter what it is, that I just do it. Like when shit hits the fan, I just do it. Not without meltdowns, but I still do it. Like,
Yeah.
because I couldn't work. And I just, obviously, like, my income suddenly just dropped to zero with, like, literally, let's just call it no support. Because, like, whatever there was a bloody job.
Wow.
So I was like, shit, like, how do I make it work? Because, like, I was like, I wanted to, like, I didn't want to rely on Ben. I was like, no, I need to do stuff. How do I do it? And I made it work. With help. It's not like, that was without help. It was with help. But yeah, I still managed.
You found out who was there to help.
I mean, no, it's not like people left me. Like,
no, that's not what I'm saying. But like when you're so let's take it to like Maslow's hierarchy. You know Maslow's hierarchy. Exactly. It's just the whole world's been put into that pyramid again, made people realize what's important. When you've got your money taken away from you overnight, that hierarchy just kicks in, right? How do you stay warm? How do you feed yourself? All of the stuff that you cared about becomes completely pointless, and then that's when you can strip back the basics and be like, okay, cool. That's what we need to do. That's what we will do as a team, as a unit. Who do I reach out to for help? What do I need to do to make things work? We both had nervous breakdowns. I put a chair through the wall.
Day one
of lockdown, fucking great. Get out the system. Martta crying for hours in the shower one day. I had to go in and have a third shower that day with her. And
your clothes.
Stressed out. I fucking lost the plot, but that's part of the puzzle. That's part of the perfection, the perfect piece of the puzzle. Just there's always two sides to the coin, right? And I think you need to go through that. You need to feel that emotion to remind you of what you need to be doing.
Oh my gosh, sorry, I interrupted you.
It's okay.
You just touched on something so important. Like it's actually at core of the work I do with my clients is I actually help them see how they're creating the experience of the reality, because people think we experience the reality out there, like whatever is going on, or we experience relationships, or we experience pandemic, or we experience whatever. And actually what we really experience is our thoughts, and we feel our thoughts. So whatever feelings we have it comes from our thinking that we have about whatever is going on out there. And that's why some people are observing a pandemic and say, okay, well, it is what it is, but I can still do other stuff, or I'm going to be okay. And some people just see the pandemic not being directly affected by it, just like the first person, but they're completely panicking because they're already in their head, they're already creating the worst case scenario, and they're in anxiety and everything. So the feelings, why I'm talking about this is because we are often so scared of our feelings that we just run away from them and we make things worse. Or when we get these feelings, we start to create lots of story around them, like what it means about us and what it means about our future and what it means, whatever. And what happens is like we just stack thoughts upon thoughts, instead of just actually, so our minds become so busy and the feeling becomes even stronger, and then we just like push ourselves into this like state that it's so difficult to get out of. Whereas if you just let yourself feel the feelings and know that they're gonna just pass and you can just move on and just keep doing your thing, that's so much more helpful.
That's the difference between critical thinking and emotional thinking. Right? So like to be a little bit more critical about how you're feeling as opposed to just making emotional responses and actions towards how you're feeling because you're not happy with it. And that's when having someone like Martta is so helpful, because I can just go to her and just ask the question like, babe, this is how I'm feeling, what should I do? Or she'll come and say like, I actually feel like this, what should I do? And just having that person to help, because it's almost, that's why we have coaches, right? You're the voice of reason, because you have no emotional connection to that person's problem. You just have a critical connection to that problem. That's why people hire coaches. But yeah, it's what we do as coaches, I guess. Critical thinking, not emotional thinking, which is why I put you in the corner.
So guys,
you still need to be able to be emotional.
Oh
like,
yeah.
If you want to smash something up, fucking go for it. Like I used to be so
unless it's your partner, then maybe
if it's not a human object. But you know, like there's been times where I used to have such a bad temper, and I would just say, "I'm just fucking so angry, man. I just want to smash some shit up." And she'd be like, "Well, just do it then." And actually being told to do it, I'd be like, "I don't want to do it now." You know?
No.
Just being given the choice to do something. That's like being allowed to feel that way. You know, that's happened once or twice this year.
Yeah, exactly. If we
just need to fix all those holes.
That's why I lift weights.
Yeah, that's really awesome, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm just so inspired by everything you shared and what you're doing right now. So tell me, what are you looking forward to moving on to 2021, or where are you in your business? Or you just opened your studio, so what's gonna happen next year?
Do you know what? I feel like now is time to just let it flow.
Sustainability. You can't just keep growing. You just outgrow yourself. So we're in a very good place now with clients and finance and all the other stuff. We're in no debt, blah, 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 all that good stuff. So sustainability, you know, can I still be happy to come into work every day, Monday to Friday, in a year's time? Will we still be here and be able to sit down and have a 1-year birthday cake together and say, we did this for a year? Are we still going to be together? Like, sustain this whole thing for the next 12 months. And yes, clients will come in, clients will go. That's business. You know, that's not going to be an issue if we just keep doing what we're doing, because we're in this position because we've done it for so long. We don't change what we're doing. We don't need to change. I've got some courses that I want to do next year, and some seminars, stuff that I've been putting on the back burner from this year. So yeah, it's a 3-part series in biomechanics, pulling, pushing, legs stuff, and some coursework I want to do through the Prescript, Dr. Jordan Shallow stuff. So I'm going to go and do that, study, apply, and see where I'm at the end of next year, and just keep building on the infrastructure of the business. That's it, you know.
Cool. And if you were to leave our audience with one piece of wisdom that came out of this year, what would it be? Or piece of advice?
So much. Don't sit down for a pee in the dark in case you leave the lid up, down. That's another story. Yeah. Man, that's a tough one, isn't it? Like, one piece of advice. Yeah, just to stay, like, if you're doing something that you believe in, then understand that it's going to take time, and that what you do today is the same shit that you need to do in 3-4 years time, 5 years time, 6 years time. The only difference that's going to happen is you're going to have more skill in what you're currently doing. But the idea of like this slight edge philosophy is just compounding effects time and time again. And whether you do that on good days, bad days, doesn't matter. It's just the idea of just continually doing it. And then what is uncomfortable at first then becomes comfortable, instead of doing the reverse of what is comfortable at first becoming uncomfortable. So just to continue doing what you believe in, basically, and just understand that it will take time, but eventually it will just go up very quickly, and you'll be where you need to be, and you'll be like us going, holy shit, what did we do? And then you remind yourself, we just did what we've always done, you know?
Love it. You know, it just reminded me of this idea of becoming overnight success, but actually when you look back, it's like, so it reminds me of an article by one of the coaches that I've been learning from for a few years now, Rich Litvin. He wrote this article a year or 2 years back, how to become an overnight success in 46 years. So he basically talks about how some people just, like, it looks like they just become success overnight, but actually if you look at their life or their work, they have been just doing loads and loads of work in the background that no one has ever seen, no one has heard about, but they have been just persistent, knocking on doors or just trying things, failing, refining, getting feedback, and just kept going. So that's so awesome, so awesome what you just said.
Like, I'm living the life that I somewhere in my head created, I mean, easily 20 years ago, but I started more like thinking of it, let's say 10, 12. And it was just something like for a long time, I was living a life expected of me, or something that was just more of like, this is what you should do. And like, this is the job you should have. This is the way you should dress. This is the way you should. And for a long time, I tried to follow it. But like, I was always just like, I never felt comfortable in that. And I could never, like, I was never able to succeed in any of that because I wasn't me. At the back of my head, I knew I didn't know what I want to do, but I knew what I want my life to look like. And subconsciously, I was just constantly like pushing towards that, and just almost like disappointing everyone around me that did not really, that my vision was really not fitting into their idea of how my life should look like.
But that's the idea of auto-suggestion, isn't it? Yeah, auto-suggestion. Your subconscious is what, 95% of your thinking, 5% is normal conscious thinking. So subconscious auto-suggestion is just the vision is so strong that you will literally push your way through anything to get there, and you do it without even thinking, so visualization, there you go.
Yeah.
Visualize what you want. Stop thinking about fucking goals. You're not playing football.
Just, like, trust your gut. Like, if there's something that you just really want and you just really feel like you're just gonna do it, just go for whatever that is.
Yeah, man, you so much time procrastinating.
I love procrastinating sometimes.
Procrastinate over some chocolate that you're trying to choose from, not over life choices that you don't have. And when you're 40, like my old ass, you don't have time to procrastinate, which is why she will tell you, as soon as I want to do something, I've pretty much done it. She's like,
then it's not procrastination, it's all about divine timing. Sometimes we just wait for this divine timing that is right,
do that, probably not. I said this to her the other day, like, everyone gets engaged in beautiful places, like with beautiful scenery and like a yacht and fireworks, and they get engaged, and it's, I'm like, I would have said fucking yes to that guy. Like, how about getting engaged without the divine opportunity where you see your partner in her worst pajamas with her hair all over the place, looking like shit after a bad day at work, on her period, and then just getting on one knee and going, baby, let's get married. That's perfect. There it is. If she says yes to, you know what I mean? That's it, but you're right. Divine timing doesn't exist. Does not exist.
Okay. Oh, guys, that's been such a fun conversation. I want to see another gift and blessing that you got from this year that you never showed.
This one.
Exactly. I wish Millie was here, but she's sleeping in the bedroom, so she's she's just. Oh, she's actually.
She here?
She just came.
Oh, brother, sister.
No.
Oh my God.
So Taco is Millie's brother. If my clients and people in my Facebook community, they know Millie. So Taco is Millie's bro. So we got Taco and Millie this year in, when was it? July, right? Beginning of July.
Wow.
Right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an amazing conversation. So many insights, so many amazing observations and thoughts and lessons. So thank you so much for sharing it with us, with my audience. Thank you everyone who's been watching. And if you have a story to share, let me know. I would love to have a conversation and record it as well. All right, guys, lots of love. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.